Well, you're not just competing with the company across the street anymore. And you're not just competing on a local or national level. It's truly a global talent market now. Anybody with a laptop and an internet connection can join a business.
Yes.
Welcome back to another Bourbon and Banter session. Buddy, good to be with you again.
Always.
We're going to dive into a topic that I find really compelling today. We're calling it the next talent war. No big surprise. We've been hearing left and right, tight labor market, competitive for employees, a lot of people that have left the labor market or have left for other jobs. So we're really going to unpack what it is that's happening, how companies need to think about it to better prepare for the future, and access, attract, retain talent. And there's a lot of dimensions here. So, I'll kick it off with a quick stat and turn it over to you for reaction.
Yeah.
Total number of jobless claims just came out late February as of this recording, fell to the lowest level since 1970. So there aren't a lot of people out there that are unemployed who want to be working, which means companies have to be more creative, more strategic, more intentional than ever in getting talent.
Yeah. So there are so many layers to this onion. The Great Resignation is one thing, but when you start looking at the talent, specifically in the industries, if you look at manufacturing and distribution, right? So we're looking at the people that want to work are working. The people today now have more opportunity to work anywhere. And all of a sudden now your confines of regional territory are being disbanded. So now we have this really unique pressure that's put on organizations that's never been felt before, which is I at least had, I'm a part of a small town, and my access to the people within the small town kind of kept me competitive. And I made sure that these people had good lives. And all of a sudden, when that's flipped on its head, and you have mega corporations from around the world that are creeping into your territory, allowing people to work remotely and giving them an opportunity to earn maybe at a pay scale well beyond where they've been in their past, you're seeing a lot of this great resignation happening because they can do similar or even different jobs, what they want to do from a place where they want to do it, and earn maybe considerably more doing it. And so as an organization, wow, that is a tough one.
Yeah. Well, you're not just competing with the company across the street anymore. And you're not just competing on a local or national level. It's truly a global talent market now. Anybody with a laptop and an internet connection can join a business.
Yes.
Now, if you're working on an assembly line or in a machine shop or something like that, clearly there are things that have to be done in a physical location.
Correct.
But when you start getting into, front office roles, administrative, knowledge work, IT, sales, that stuff that really transcends the physical office and is creating, a more competitive situation when what's already a tight labor market.
That's right, yeah.
And so, companies are going to have a strategy.
Mm-hmm.
That's bottom line is you can't be lazy. You can't be passive. Employees are not just falling out of the sky and landing on your doorstep. Where would you start if you were thinking about it as a business and saying, okay, we've got to get our stuff together?
Yeah.
What are some of the considerations if I'm looking introspectively about my business that I need to factor in if I'm going to be competitive in this next talent war?
So you hit on something right there. I think if you're not looking introspectively, I think that's your first issue. I grew up in the distribution business. So the industry was if you had somebody leave for another job, it was like, oh, they'll be back, right? Like, oh, you're...
Yeah. They're lost.
Yeah, they're lost. Like this is, now you're seeing hold on a second. What are they doing? And they're getting a 40% pay bump, and they are getting to work in an environment that is culturally much different than the one that I'm physically providing them. So the the realization and really the humility to be able to look in the mirror and say, all right, as a business owner within this community, what am I providing as an opportunity for the individuals that physically get work done every day? And it has to be more than a paycheck. Specifically, if your age demographic is under 40, you identify statistics and you start looking at what is the reason, what motivates people to excel at what they do, and pay is just a part of it. Mm-hmm. So we all want to feel like we're accomplishing something greater than ourselves with a group of people on fire for the mission. And what is that mission? And if you don't have one in business today, go find one right now. Like, what is it that you're trying to do? Yes, you might make tires. Yes, you might move food service equipment. Yes, you might be in the furniture business. But what are you really doing? Because the task that you're doing should equate to the mission that you're on fire for. And those people that you surround yourself with, you're going to have that to compete in the landscape today.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And, I tend to think about 3 C's that companies need to factor in. Compensation's an obvious one because you're no longer just competing in your local market. So you need to think about it in a totally different way because you're recruiting against people. I mean, in both directions. Let's say if I'm a tech company in Silicon Valley, I'm competing with potentially, smaller companies where they're able to get talent in small markets. It's not just in San Francisco now and recruiting against other companies in San Francisco. I'm going against, everyone. So compensation and thinking about, the different costs of living in different parts of the world is important. Culture, like you're saying, what it is that we stand for. Why are we here? What are we doing? What is the thing that's bigger than all of us that we're working towards? And that's sort of the Maslow hierarchy of needs. We want to belong to something bigger. Mm-hmm. And then the third thing I would say is really conditions. And what I mean by that is, am I allowing people to work from home, work from anywhere, hybrid? Is the physical workspace that I've created, if it's not remote, compelling? Do people want to be there? Is it, is it a nice environment? And I think those 3 things, you really have to have a strategy for how do we make this a great place to work on all of those levels. Whereas I think, you pointed out, it used to just be, I'm here, my pay is okay, it's right in your backyard. So of course they're going to come, and now it's just a lot more complex than that. So I think companies really have to go through that checklist. Like you said, look introspectively, count all your defects, start to fix them, but then be proactive in creating a work environment that people are going to be attracted to. And
along with that, it doesn't matter what business you're in. I think the key to all of this is, it used to be, we're an instant oil change company. And it's like, yeah, exactly. Like, but what is it that you do that's going to get people excited about coming to work for you? Right? Like, it used to be, it's supply and demand, right? You look at the issue that's happening. It used to be, the employers had all the power because there was a plethora of supply of people. And you had a limited number of jobs as an opportunity because it was regionally based. Well, all of a sudden now it's not regionally based. You've got companies all over the U.S. that are looking in every small town America to hire people to be able to do jobs, which for them might be an affordable rate, but for the region, it might be a considerable pay bump. And now it's flipped on its head. Now the power is in the person, not the employer. So as that person now has the power, the allure has to be compensation, of course, like you said. It has to be culture, and then the conditions that they work under. So we talk about it all the time at Be Simple, which is like, our task or our job, what we want to accomplish for these organizations is to remove the menial task, right? People that have to do menial or monotonous tasks all day, every day, don't feel value in what they do. So how do you get them to feel value in what they do? You eliminate these tasks that are unnecessary or duplicative, and you give them an opportunity to do meaningful work.
Yeah.
So
skill development.
100%.
I mean, I think that's a big factor is where am I going to grow as an individual and increase my skills and my marketability as an employee? Because I don't think we're in an era where people are going to spend 40 years with one company. And that's not a bad thing necessarily. No. It used to be looked at as a negative if you job hopped. And sure, maybe there's a red flag if every 3 months you're in a new role, but people like to have new challenges and to be upskilled and develop. And now there's an incredible world of opportunity with that because you're not anchored to the industry that your town is known for.
That's right.
How many municipalities were decimated when kind of macroeconomic trends change, whether it's coal or automotive or industries, dynamics changing there. I think this also builds resilience for communities because now I'm not dependent on one industry being in our town.
Yeah.
So if we're constantly upskilling and we're creating a workforce that can do anything from anywhere, ultimately, I think that's a net positive for employees, employers, and communities as a whole. We just have to sort it all out, and employers have to be prepared for that because it is changing. The 40-year lifer is no longer a thing in most companies.
It's going to be, and to your point, what I love about this is it challenges the status quo, right? We are constantly trying to elevate and push to ensure that, the pendulum swings and it's going to eventually swing to a point where it's in the middle and identifying like, hey, it's not great and it's not bad. Meaning like, hey, if you spend 40 years with an organization, fantastic, good for you. But as an organization, I want fresh thought. I want outsiders coming in and taking a look and providing new perspective. And if the employer embraces this, right, if the owner says, this is a real opportunity for our business now to be significantly more successful because I'm also not limited to the regional footprint, right? Unless you're a factory, right, and you need a few physical people in the space, you now have an opportunity to go compete for talent all over the country as well. And you have a unique opportunity to be able to ensure that your people understand what it is that you do and why you do it. So defining your why in this moment is probably the most important thing any business can do to ensure that the future of success for them is tangible.
Well, ultimately, I think anything that drives competition in industry is a net positive.
Yes.
People are competing for roles, employers are competing for individuals. That's a good thing. And so however this shakes out, I see having a globally competitive labor market as very positive for industry and hopefully as a result of these changes that we've seen over the last couple of years, businesses end up being a lot better for it and employers as well, employees as well.
Yeah, I think this is going to be this is a much needed shakeup. And I think what's going to happen in the coming years, it's going to really provide unique opportunities for both the businesses as well as the employees to add tremendous value or tremendously more valuable actions and items and things and thought that create this unique experience for both parties, which in the end, like you're talking about, creates the unique experience for the consumer or the customer.
Yeah, it's fun to be a part of a change as stratospheric as this one. This is a huge shift from our parents and grandparents' generation where you just punched in and punched out in the same way for 40 years. And I'm an optimist, so I definitely think this is a positive thing on the whole.
Great. I like our spot too.
And buddy, it was the good conversation. The bourbon was good, but the banter was even better.
Always. Good being with you.
Cheers.
Cheers. you.